He never planned to be anywhere near royalty that evening. The invitation had come through work last minute, more like an obligation than an honor. A public charity event, formal but quiet, meant to look good on paper. He wore a borrowed suit that didn't quite fit his shoulders and shoes that pinched every time he walked. From the moment he stepped inside the grand hall, he felt small. The place was filled with soft lights and low voices. Crystal glasses clinked gently. People smiled in careful ways, the kind of smiles that did not reach the eyes. He stayed close to the edges, holding a glass of water he barely drank. His role was simple. Be present, observe, don't stand out. That alone felt hard. Across the hall, a raised platform caught his attention. Heavy curtains parted just enough to let warm light spill through. That was when he noticed her. Not clearly, not fully, just a silhouette. Tall, still, perfectly balanced, like someone who belonged exactly where they stood. The light behind her made details fade, but the outline was impossible to ignore. He told himself to look away. This was not his world, yet his eyes kept drifting back, pulled by quiet curiosity rather than desire. She didn't move much. Others moved around her instead, adjusting, waiting, careful not to interrupt. Even without seeing her face, he understood her importance. The room grew warmer as more guests arrived. Conversations overlapped, laughter rose and fell. He shifted his weight, trying to relax. Someone brushed past him, apologizing quickly. Another guest nodded at him without really seeing him. He felt invisible, and strangely, that was comforting. Then everything shifted. A sudden change in the program caused a small wave of movement. Guests were asked to reposition. Staff guided people gently but firmly. Without meaning to, he found himself closer to the platform than before, too close. His chest tightened. He could feel the quiet tension around that space. She stepped forward slightly, still half in shadow. For a brief second, the noise of the room seemed to soften. He noticed the way she stood, straight but relaxed, as if pressure had never touched her shoulders. The outline of a figure against the light struck him again, stronger this time. He swallowed and looked down, annoyed at himself. His mind wandered, careless. He thought of how strange it was that a single shape could hold so much attention. How something so simple could feel overwhelming. He didn't know yet that this moment, this quiet observation, would follow him long after the night ended. At that point, he still believed he was just another guest in the background, unnoticed and safe.
He was wrong.
Because sometimes real stories don't begin with loud moments or big actions. Sometimes they begin with a single look held for just a second too long. The distance between him and the platform closed without warning. One moment he was standing behind a tall man in a dark suit, and the next, that man stepped aside. The space opened, quiet and exposed. He felt every pair of nearby eyes shift, measuring who belonged and who did not.
He stopped walking, unsure where to place his feet. The soft music continued, but it sounded thinner now, like it was far away. He became painfully aware of his breathing, too loud in his own ears. Turning back felt wrong. Moving forward felt worse.
She was closer now, no longer just an outline, but still not fully clear. Light framed her from behind, softening her features and hiding sharp details. What stood out was her posture, calm, certain, as if the room bent slightly around her presence. He tried to focus on something else, the pattern on the floor, the edge of the curtain, anything. His mind, however, refused to cooperate. Thoughts stacked on top of each other, messy and fast. Why am I here? I shouldn't be this close. Say nothing. Don't say anything. Silence stretched between them, not dramatic, just uncomfortable. The kind that grows heavy when neither side knows how to fill it. She glanced in his direction. It wasn't a sharp look. It was brief and neutral. Still, it landed like a weight on his chest. Panic made a choice for him. The words escaped before he could stop them. Quiet, but clear enough. A foolish attempt at politeness, shaped by nerves instead of thought.
Your silhouette is impressive.
The moment the sentence left his mouth, regret followed. It hit him all at once, like stepping off a stair that wasn't there. He wished he could pull the words back, swallow them whole, pretend they never existed. The air changed, conversations nearby softened, then paused. He realized too late that silence could be louder than sound. His face burned. His hands tightened at his sides. He stared at the floor, already bracing for consequences he could not name. She turned toward him fully this time. The light shifted, revealing more of her face. Not anger, not shock. Something far calmer and far more unsettling. Her eyes studied him carefully, not as a person, but as a situation. For a few long seconds, she said nothing. That was the worst part. His heart raced, filling the space she left empty. He felt small, childish, exposed. A grown adult, undone by a single, careless sentence. When she finally spoke, her voice was steady and soft, almost kind. Yet there was a firmness beneath it, like a door closing gently but completely. Her response was short, measured, and impossible to misunderstand. It carried the quiet reminder of who she was and who he was not. In that instant, fear settled deep in his stomach. Not fear of being yelled at, not fear of embarrassment, but fear of having crossed a line he had never even seen. He understood then that some words, no matter how harmless they seem, can change the shape of a night forever. Her words did not echo. They did not rise or fall. They landed quietly, like something placed carefully on a table. That calm made them heavier than any raised voice could have. He nodded without realizing it, as if agreement was expected. His throat felt dry, and when he tried to speak, nothing came out. She held his gaze for one more second, then looked away. Just like that, the moment was over for her. For him, it had only begun. A man in a dark suit stepped closer, not rushing, not aggressive. His posture was relaxed, but his eyes were alert. Another figure appeared near the curtain, then another. No hands were placed on him. No one raised their voice. That somehow made it worse. He was gently asked to step aside. The words were polite, almost friendly. Still, his legs felt weak as he followed. The noise of the event returned behind him, as if nothing unusual had happened. Laughter resumed. Glasses clinked again. The world moved on without him. They stopped near a quiet corner, away from the lights. He was asked simple questions. Who he was, why he was there, who invited him. He answered honestly, his voice low and careful. Every word felt like it mattered more than it should. No one accused him of anything. That silence left room for his own thoughts to attack him instead. He replayed the sentence again and again, each time sounding worse than before. What had he been thinking? Why had he spoken at all? After a short pause, he was told he could return to the main area, but not near the platform. The instruction was clear without being harsh. Boundaries had been drawn. He thanked them, though he wasn't sure why. As he walked back, he felt different, smaller. The room looked the same, yet he no longer belonged in it. He caught fragments of conversations, none of them about him, but every laugh felt pointed anyway. His mind filled in stories that were probably not true, but impossible to silence. He avoided looking toward the platform. Part of him feared seeing her again. Another part feared not seeing her at all. Either way, the damage felt permanent. Time moved slowly after that. Minutes stretched. His phone vibrated once in his pocket, but he ignored it. He wanted the night to end, yet dreaded what might follow when it did. Eventually, the event began to close. Guests thanked each other, exchanged smiles, made plans they might never keep. He slipped out quietly, unnoticed again, just like when he arrived. Outside, cool air hit his face. He stood still for a moment, breathing deeply. The city sounded normal. Cars passed. Someone laughed down the street. Life continued. But something inside him had shifted. He realized fear doesn't always come from punishment. Sometimes it comes from understanding, too late, how close you came to something powerful and how quickly it reminded you of your place. He walked away knowing this was not just an awkward memory. It was a lesson he would carry long after the lights faded. The next morning felt heavier than it should have. Nothing dramatic happened overnight. No calls, no messages. Still, he woke with a tight chest, as if something unseen was waiting for him. He replayed the night again while brushing his teeth, while tying his shoes, while staring at nothing in particular. At work, things looked normal. Too normal. People greeted him the same way. Screens glowed, phones rang. Yet he felt like he was walking slightly behind himself, watching rather than living. Every time his email refreshed, his stomach tightened. By midday, whispers started, not loud, not clear, just small comments floating past him. Someone mentioned security being tense at the event. Another joked about how careful people had to be around important guests. No one said his name. That almost made it worse. He wondered who had noticed, how many eyes had followed him as he was led away, how easily stories could twist. He imagined his sentence changing shape in other people's mouths, growing sharper, ruder, more intentional than it ever was. A quiet meeting request arrived in the afternoon. Short, polite, no details. His hands felt cold as he read it. The meeting itself was calm, too calm. He was reminded about professional conduct, about public settings, about understanding boundaries. No threats, no accusations, just a clear warning wrapped in soft language. He nodded, apologized once, and listened. When it ended, he was told to continue his work as usual. The door closed gently behind him. That night, sleep came late. When it did, it was light and broken. He dreamed of standing in bright rooms where he could not speak, where every word turned into something dangerous the moment it left his mouth. Days passed. The story did not explode. No headlines, no calls from strangers. Life refused to turn into a disaster. That almost confused him more. He had expected something louder, something final. Instead, what stayed was the wait. He noticed how careful he became with words, how often he paused before speaking, measuring tone and timing. He watched people differently too, how power moved quietly, how respect was enforced without force. He never saw her again, not in person, not on a screen. Yet she was present in small ways, in moments of hesitation, in sudden silences, in the awareness of lines that exist even when no one explains them. Friends asked how the event went. He gave short answers. Good, fine, interesting. He left out the rest. Some experiences felt smaller when spoken aloud, and heavier when kept inside. Over time, the fear softened. What remained was understanding, not bitterness, not shame, just clarity. He realized the night hadn't changed the world. It had changed him. And sometimes that is how real consequences arrive, not with noise, but with a quiet shift that follows you long after everyone else has moved on. Weeks turned into months, and the night slowly stopped waking him in the middle of his sleep. Life found its rhythm again. Work deadlines replaced old worries. Ordinary problems returned, the kind that could be solved with time and effort. Still, something had changed beneath the surface. He noticed it in small moments. When conversations paused, he no longer rushed to fill the space. When jokes crossed a line, he stayed quiet instead of laughing along. Words felt heavier now, not frightening, just important. He understood that once spoken, they could not be reshaped. One afternoon, while waiting in a crowded place, he caught his reflection in a glass wall. He looked the same posture, same tired eyes. Yet the person inside felt steadier, not confident in a loud way, but aware. Awareness, he realized, was its own kind of strength. People still talked about power as if it was loud or dramatic. He knew better now. Real power didn't need to announce itself. It lived in calm responses, controlled spaces, and the ability to end a moment without raising a voice. He felt it that night, clear and undeniable. He never tried to justify what he said. He didn't excuse it as harmless or misunderstood. He accepted it as a mistake shaped by nerves and inexperience. Accepting that truth was easier than carrying anger or embarrassment forward. Sometimes he wondered what she remembered. Maybe nothing at all. Maybe just a brief interruption in a long evening. That thought brought unexpected comfort. Not every mistake becomes a story for others. Some remain lessons meant only for the person who made them. At another event months later, smaller and less formal, he stood near the back again. This time, he felt no urge to move forward. Watching was enough. Being present without needing attention felt right. When someone beside him made an awkward comment, he saw the same panic flash across their face. He didn't step in, didn't judge. He understood how easy it was to speak without thinking, and how fast a moment could slip away. As the night ended, he stepped outside into familiar city noise. The air was cool, honest. He breathed deeply and smiled, just slightly. The memory no longer scared him. It guided him. It reminded him that respect is not about fear, and silence is not weakness. Sometimes the strongest choice is knowing when not to speak. That night had not given him a story of pride or triumph. It had given him something quieter and more useful: perspective. And in the end, that was enough.